Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents
The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Suspecting the truth that Clark Kent is Superman, a cunning international spy known only as Sidney arranged for Kent to come to his country house. In a closet lined with lead, the one substance Superman's X-ray vision cannot penetrate, Henry Miller, the deadly atom man, waited. When Sidney, conversing with Kent, opened the closet door, the effect of the kryptonite solution in Miller's veins overpowered Kent. Convinced that the Daily Planet reporter and Superman were one and the same person, Sidney and Miller removed him to a secret hideout under the garage, where they planned to keep him in a coma until he either starved to death or died of thirst. As we continue now, 3 days have gone by, during which time, of course, Kent has been missing from the offices of the Daily Planet. Worried, Jimmy Olsen and Candy Myers, a private detective, are searching his Metropolis apartment. Listen.
We've already gone through Mr. Kent's apartment, Candy, and so have the police. We're just wasting time.
You got any better ideas, Jim?
Well, no.
Okay. Now let's get back to the beginning. You saw him last.
I've already told you about that.
Now tell me again. And don't leave anything out. Not anything.
Well, it was 3 days ago. Or nights, rather. Mr. Kent got back to the office about 7:30.
Did he say where he'd been?
No, he just asked me what Inspector Henderson and you had found out about that Mr. Sidney.
Yeah.
I told him, and he seemed kind of relieved. Then he said he had an appointment, so he couldn't have dinner with me. I went out, and, well, that's the last time I ever saw him.
You're sure he didn't say where his appointment was?
Oh, I'm positive.
And he wasn't working on any special story?
No, he'd been sick. He just got back from Florida that very day.
Yeah, I know. Had anyone been looking for him while he was gone?
Just Dr. Millison, the scientist. But I told you and Inspector Henderson about that.
Yeah, Millison said he hadn't seen Kent. Let's see now. After he got back from Florida, as far as you know, the only person he saw was Sidney.
Uh-huh. And when Sidney left, Mr. Kent got all excited. He told me to have Inspector Henderson shoot a fingerprint man right over and for me to call you. Then he rushed out and he didn't get back until 7:30.
I wonder why he was so interested in Sidney.
I don't know, but considering how relieved he was when I told him what you'd found out, that Sidney was just a respectable retired businessman, I figure he must have mistaken Sidney for somebody else.
Could be. I'll check. Maybe they got some more dope.
Who? Dope about what?
My office, on Sidney. I told him to keep digging.
Oh, what for? Even the FBI gave him a clean bill of health.
So what? You can't lose anything by trying. Oh, hello, Mary? I'll put Eddie on. Oh, I see. Uh-huh. Did he come up with anything on that Sidney character? Yeah, I'll hold on.
Anything doing, Candy?
Yeah, she's checking. The guy I put on the case is out. Yeah, go ahead, Mary. What's that? Give me that again. Wow. That sounds good. Tell him to stay on it. I'll check with you later. Okay. So long.
What'd they find out?
The Justice Department just slapped one of those show cause where you shouldn't be closed up papers on the Metropolis Import Glass Company. That's the outfit our friend Sidney was tied up with. The Justice Department found out they were hooked up with a big German outfit.
Oh, gee whiz.
Come on, Jim.
Where?
I want to have a talk with Sidney. Maybe he's not the nice, respectable party he makes himself out to be.
Maybe he's a big shot Nazi, huh? And Mr. Kent found it out?
Could be. Where's that automatic elevator? I never can tell the door from the apartment.
Oh, it's right over here. Yeah, and the elevator's waiting for us.
Good. Come on. Push the lobby button.
Okay.
Keep your fingers crossed, Jim. I got a hunch we're on the right track.
Closer to the truth than they realize, Jimmy and Candy Myers leave the apartment building and step into the private detective's car. A short time later, in the secret cellar under his garage, Sidney kneels on the floor next to the motionless figure of Superman, who, in Clark Kent's clothing, his eyes closed, still retains consciousness, but is unable to move a muscle under the weakening spell of the kryptonite in the Atom Man's blood. Across the small room, a radio plays symphonic music. Miller, the Atom Man, nervous and jumpy, paces the floor. Suddenly he stops, and his thin lips curl in an ugly snarl.
Isn't he dead yet, Sidney? No, his pulse is weaker and he's lost weight, as you can see, but it takes longer than 3 days to starve a man to death, and this is no ordinary man.
Has it only been 3 days? It seems like 3 years cooped up in this rat hole. How long is it going to take?
I told you, a month, perhaps 2.
I can't stand it that long. I'll go crazy. I'm a man of action. I've got to be doing things. I was always like that, and now it's worse. The kryptonite in my blood makes me nervous.
Soon you will be doing things, big things.
Sure, but when?
As soon as our friend here breathes his last.
I'll make him breathe his last. I'll turn on my atomic power.
Oh, no, you fool. How many times must I tell you there's no more kryptonite? How do you expect to accomplish your ambitious desire if you exhaust all your atomic power on Superman?
I guess you're right.
Of course I am. Sit down now. Control yourself.
I could just take a walk around the grounds.
No, you gotta be here every second to make sure Ken doesn't regain consciousness. Now sit down.
What's that?
Relax. It's only Gito telephoning from the house. For heaven's sake, compose yourself. Yes, Gito, yes.
Two gentlemen here wish to see you, Master.
Who are they?
One young newspaper reporter named Olson.
Olson?
Jim Olson, here.
Quiet.
Other name Candy Myers. He no say, but I think he police, Master.
I see. Tell them I'll be there shortly, Gito.
What's Olson doing here? What's he want? What is it? Tell me.
Stop trembling. It's beginning to make me nervous. It's a routine call, I imagine, just as we had from the police. Now, Kent's disappeared, and I suppose they're checking on everyone who had contact with him lately. They'll find nothing here.
Where are you going?
To speak to them, of course, but don't worry, they don't have the least suspicion of me. Slide the floor panel shut as soon as you hear me leave the garage. I'll be back shortly.
Confidently, Sidney waddles up the steps through the opening panel in the garage floor, unaware that he is under suspicion. What will this newest development lead to? Drawing room of his rambling stone and timbered house, Sidney, suave and at ease, sits comfortably on a couch opposite Jimmy Olsen and a hard-eyed Candy Myers.
Yes, I read of Clark Kent's disappearance, and I'm terribly sorry, gentlemen. I only met him once, but I liked him immensely.
Well, he's the swellest guy who ever lived.
Just a moment, Jim. Mr. Sidney, you say you only met Kent once?
That's right, Mr. Myers. 3 days ago, I think it was. I called on him at the Daily Planet.
What for? If you don't mind telling us.
Not at all. You see, I've retired from business, and I've a lot of time on my hands, you see. I've no family or any other occupations to fill my time, so, as a hobby, I developed an interest in Superman.
Superman?
Yes, young man. Fascinating chap, Superman, don't you think?
Go on, Mr. Sidney. What's that got to do with Kent?
Why, I noticed that the Planet wrote more about Superman than any other paper. And Kent had written many of the stories, so I thought it might be interesting if he and I compared notes, so to speak.
He didn't make a date with you.
No. As a matter of fact, I suggested it, but he said he had a previous engagement. I do hope nothing's happened to it.
Oh, maybe
Hold it, Jim. You and Kent didn't talk about anything else, Mr. Sidney. Just Superman?
No, not that I remember. My visit was quite brief.
He didn't happen to mention anything about your Nazi connections.
My what?
You know what? A little matter concerning your glass company being tied up with a Nazi firm.
Oh, that.
Yes, that. We think...
Jim, what about that, Sidney?
Well, as a matter of fact, that was the very reason I withdrew from the firm when I did. But they were making the connection with the Nazis then. It was just before the war, and as an American citizen, I disapproved. When they ignored me, I resigned, and as for Mr. Kent, I haven't seen him since that day in his office. Now, does that answer all your questions?
Yes, I guess it does. Come on, Jim. Sorry to have troubled you, Mr. Sidney.
Yeah. So long.
Goodbye, gentlemen. And believe me, I'm terribly sorry I can't help you. I'll show you to the door if you'll just come this way.
Discouraged and heavy-hearted, Candy Myers and Jimmy Olsen leave the suave Sidney's house, unaware that Clark Kent lies helpless almost beneath their very feet. And in the secret cellar, aware that his friends are leaving, Kent strains to give some sign to them, to call out to them, but the frantic words never reach his lips, crying out only in his mind.
Jim, Candy, don't go. I'm here, in a secret room under the garage. Don't go. It's not just my life that's at stake, it's all the civilized world. Don't go. You're my last hope. Candy, Jim, help me. Candy.
Desperately, the man of steel strains to make himself heard, to move, but he cannot. And a moment later, he dimly hears a car drive off, and he knows he has been left to his doom. As we continue now, Sidney has just returned to the cellar. The Atom Man, his nerves near the breaking point, snaps a question at him.
Well, what happened?
Oh, relax, my friend, relax.
What did they want? What were they looking for?
They were looking for Clark Kent, of course.
That means they're suspicious. They know Kent came here, when was it, 3 nights ago?
No, they don't.
They must, or else they wouldn't have come here. I don't like this, Sidney. I'm getting out.
Oh, sit down. Sit down and relax. Nothing to worry about. They've gone.
They'll come back. They'll bring more cops. I've got to get out of here.
Oh, don't be a fool, Miller. I said there's nothing to worry about. They've no way of knowing that Kent is here. They don't even know he had an appointment with me the night he disappeared.
Then why did they come here?
My dear fellow, their friend is missing. They're doing everything they can to find him. Olson knew that I'd called on Kent the day he disappeared. So naturally, they wanted to talk to me, one of the last persons who'd seen him. I assure you, they're now convinced of my complete innocence in the affair.
Maybe not. Olson is young, but he's smart.
Oh, believe me, he's not half as smart as I am. Now sit down and compose yourself. Here, I brought you the evening papers. You can read all about the latest sensation. The mysterious disappearance of Clark Kent.
I'm sick of reading. I never like to read anyhow. I want to do things. I've got to do things. Can't stand being cooped up in here hour after hour, day after day.
Oh, now, Henry, control yourself.
If you say that just once more,
All right. Now, let's see how our friend Mr. Kent's getting along. To think that this is the great and powerful Superman, the undefeatable Superman. His pulse is definitely weaker, and he's losing weight. I don't think he'll last very much longer.
He's lasted too long already. I can't stand the sight of him. Or of you either.
Evidently the kryptonite in your blood is making you nervous. Now read your papers and I'll turn on the radio.
No, I don't want to hear any more of that music.
But I do. Frankly, I find it more enjoyable than your stupid conversation.
You're going to say that once too often.
Oh, listen to that disgusting jazz music. When Superman's dead and we are giving orders to the world, I'll have all dance orchestras abolished. Yeah, that's better.
The swine must be stopped.
Who must be stopped?
Look, it's in the paper. The Allies have blown up 4 more of our largest factories.
Now, stop exciting yourself.
And another thing, they're beginning the trials of our leaders, Goering, von Ribbentrop, Keitel, von Papen, our greatest heroes on trial for their lives like common criminals.
They weren't smart enough. They held out too long. They should have gotten rid of Hitler and made peace. Then they'd still have their freedom and their money. It's getting late. Why don't you go to bed?
I'm not sleepy. I'm never sleepy anymore. I need exercise, fresh air and exercise.
Oh, this room's air-conditioned.
It's too small. It's closed in. I'm like a lion in a cage. Look, Sidney, if I went outside and walked for just 10 minutes, I'd feel...
No. Suppose Kent regained consciousness while you were out.
He won't. Look how still he is, like he's dead.
You thought he was dead when you buried him on the beach that time, but he revived. No. You won't stir from this room until Kent breathes his last, and that's final.
I could kill you very easily, you know.
Oh, yes, but you won't. I'm much too valuable to you. You've no brains, and you know it. You need me to direct you.
That's what you think.
We interrupt this broadcast to bring you an important announcement.
Shut that radio! Fire!
There is still no news of Clark Kent, star reporter for the Metropolis Daily Planet, who disappeared mysteriously 3 days ago.
Quite right, my friend.
Late this afternoon, Perry White, editor of the Planet, announced that he has increased the reward to $25,000 for any information leading to the discovery of Kent's whereabouts. We will continue to interrupt all programs to bring you any further developments. We now return you to the evening hour of immortal music.
Wouldn't Perry White be surprised if he knew he was offering a reward for Superman?
I don't like this, Sidney. $25,000 is a lot of money. Everyone will be looking for Kent. Police, private detectives, they'll come snooping around here.
Well, let them come. What good would it do them? They couldn't find this hideout in 100 years. Now, for heaven's sake, stop fretting and fidgeting. Let me read my paper and you read yours.
Dirty fat swine. Sidney.
Oh, now what?
Listen to this. Listen, it says a group of American scientists believe that they will soon have a defense against atomic energy.
It'll take a long time.
How do you know it will?
Well, everyone knows it. Took years to make the first atomic bomb, even after they'd learned how to split the atom. It'll take years more to find a defense against it.
Maybe not. They might find it any day, any hour. Then where'll I be?
You're worrying about nothing.
Am I? Suppose it happened while I'm sitting here in your rotten cellar waiting for Kent to die. Then it'll be too late. Instead of my being able to destroy Germany's enemies, they'll destroy me.
I tell you, you're worrying about nothing. Kent will be dead in a few weeks.
You're not sure of that. He's Superman, you know. Maybe he'll last for months, for a year.
Ridiculous. No man can live without food and water for long.
No man can fly either, or move mountains, or withstand atomic energy, but he can. I've made up my mind, Sidney. I'm getting out of here tonight.
Oh, no, you're not.
I am! It's too risky to stay here any longer. I've got to make use of my atomic power before they find a defense against it.
What about Superman?
It took him days to revive after our last fight. Now we've been starving him, and it'll take him longer to revive, if he does. By that time, I'll have conquered the world. And then if he dares to meet me again, let him. Where's the button that opens the ceiling panel? Oh, here.
Now, don't touch it, Miller.
Try and stop me.
Don't touch that button, or I'll shoot.
What?
One step more, Miller, and you are a dead man.
Whirling about furiously, the Atom Man stops short at the sight of the snub-nosed pistol in Sidney's pudgy hand. Conscious but helpless, Superman waits tensely. If the Atom Man dies, Superman may still live. In the secret cellar where Clark Kent lies helpless, chained by the power of the kryptonite in Henry Miller's veins, the Atom Man and his sinister ally, Sidney, have clashed. Attempting to leave the hideout, Miller was stopped by the threat of a pistol in Sidney's hand.
One step more, Miller, and I'll shoot.
You wouldn't dare.
Wouldn't I? I'm playing for millions, not pennies. Do you think I'd let a stupid, hot-headed young fool like you cheat me out of it? Now get into that bunk and go to sleep. You're not leaving here until Kent is dead. I said get into that bunk.
All right. You win. This time.
You'll find that I win every time.
Aren't you going to sleep?
Perhaps not.
Turn the radio off. I can't sleep with that music playing.
Well, now you're talking sense.
I always talk sense.
Yeah. You'd ruin everything if not for me. You'd exhaust your power on Superman the way you did the last time, and then where would you be?
Maybe you're right.
Of course I'm right. Now go to sleep. Go on. Go to sleep. Remember, in case you get any more stupid ideas, that I'll be watching you. And I can shoot the head off a match at 40 paces.
It won't happen again. Good night.
Good night.
Climbing into the bunk, Henry Miller lies on his back in the shadows, his eyes almost closed. Across the room, Sidney sits wedged in a chair, an open book on his fat knees, the snub-nosed pistol on the table at his elbow. Occasionally, as he turns a page, his sharp little eyes in their deep pouches turn toward the Atom Man. All is silent save for the ticking of a clock on the shelf. A half hour passes. An hour. And Sidney's head nods toward his chest. There is a stealthy movement in the bunk, and Sidney's head comes up sharply. His hand reaches for the pistol.
Miller!
For a long moment, Sidney's sharp little eyes watch the bunk in the shadows. Then once again he picks up the book and forces himself to read. 5 minutes pass. 10. His head nods. Shortly his eyes close, and soon his deep breathing indicates he is asleep. Relaxed, the book drops from his knees to the floor without disturbing him. For a time there is no sound in the room except Sidney's heavy breathing and the rhythmic ticking of the clock. Then suddenly Miller, the Atom Man, slowly, with infinite care, places first one foot and then the other on the floor. In the half-darkness his eyes gleam like a jungle cat's as he takes one cautious step, and then another, toward the sleeping Sidney. Half stumbling over the body of Clark Kent, he stands frozen, his eyes pinned on the sleeping fat man. Sidney stirs but does not awaken, and again the Atom Man resumes his slow, silent inching across the room. Its progress noted tensely by Kent, who realizes that the next few seconds will determine whether he, Superman, lives or dies. Only a few feet from his fat ally now, the Atom Man coils himself to spring, and in that moment Sidney lifts his head, his eyes open, and he snatches for his revolver.
No, you don't, Miller.
Furiously, Sidney and the Atom Man tangle, overturning the chair and crashing to the floor. This is a battle to the death, with Superman's life hanging in the balance. After 3 days, however, alarmed by a newspaper report that scientists were working on a defense against atomic power, Miller attempted to leave the hideout. Sidney stopped him at gunpoint. But that night when the fat man dozed, Miller attacked him. The two conspirators grappled, and as we continue now, the younger, stronger Miller has kicked Sidney's gun across the room and clasped the electronic converter around his throat, which transforms him into an Atom Man. As the horrified Sidney staggers to his feet, Miller, a maniacal smile curling his thin lips, pulls on his strange meshed metal gloves. Listen.
Now, Sidney, now tell me who's master.
Take that converter off, Miller.
I like to see your fat body shake with fear.
No. You need me. You can't do without me.
What do I need you for, you fat
Miller?
Go on and beg for your life, Sidney. I've waited a long time for this moment.
No, I'm just trying to show you that you can't afford to do away with me. You've forgotten about Clark Kent? Forgotten that he's Superman? He'll regain consciousness when you leave and come after you.
Even if he recovers, he can't stand up against my atomic power.
But he could make you exhaust all your power on him, as he did that time on the beach. Then what do?
I'll have to take that chance. I can't stay here until he dies of starvation. It might take months, And in that time, those American scientists may perfect their defense against atomic power.
But if you work with me, you won't have to fear the American scientists or Superman either.
Why not?
Because I know where there's more kryptonite.
What? More kryptonite?
Yes. So even if you're forced to destroy a dozen cities and fight Superman again, you'll still have all the atomic power you need.
You're lying to try to save your skin.
No. I'm telling you the truth because I have to. The Scarlet Widow cut up the original kryptonite fragment into 4 pieces. 4? Yes. Teufel stole 1 piece, which your father dissolved in Germany and injected into your veins.
And you bought the second piece from the Widow, which is dissolved and in my veins right now. That's all there is. You said so when you got it.
I tell you, there are 2 other pieces.
You're lying.
It's the truth. I can prove it.
You can? Prove it, then. Where are they?
Oh, no, my friend. I'm not so stupid as to tell you now. You'd finish me off, then get the kryptonite yourself. Take off that converter and those gloves, and we'll do business again.
You must really think I'm a fool. Even if there is more kryptonite...
There is! There are 2 pieces of it!
I don't believe it. But even if there is enough, I let you live. You wouldn't get it for me.
Of course I will.
Oh, no! I know what's in that twisted brain of yours, Sidney. You're afraid of me now. So the first chance you got, you'd kill me, steal my converter and gloves, and inject the kryptonite into someone else. Someone you could control.
You're wrong. I wouldn't do anything like that.
No, you don't back up to that gun.
I'm not. You've got to listen to me, Miller.
Don't back up, I said.
All right, Miller. All right. I just wanted to get to this house.
Drop that phone!
Take off your gloves first, quick, or I'll have Zito call the police. They'll surround the place and shoot you.
They will, eh?
Don't! No, don't touch the converter.
Yes, Master.
I've already thrown the switch. Can't you tell by my voice? In a moment, Sidney, when my atomic power builds up...
No, don't, Miller, don't.
Please, for the love of heaven, don't.
Something is wrong, Master.
Now I'm ready. Here comes the green lightning.
Oh,
goodbye, Sidney.
No, please. Ah!
That's the end of him. There. No use wasting my power. Now to get out of here. Let's see, I want the officer's cap and the overcoat. It was nice of Sidney to produce the coat and to dye my hair. There, I'm ready. See, the panel is opening.
Master, what's wrong?
It's Gito. I'd better take care of him.
Master, what happened? Oh, you killed Master. I fixed it.
That knife won't help you. Say your prayers, Gito.
Oh!
That finishes Gito. Now I'll give Kent a little more atomic power to make sure that he can't interfere with me tonight. There. Now I can go. Goodbye, Sidney! Goodbye, Superman! Happy dreams! I'll fix things so you won't be disturbed.
Laughing triumphantly, the Atom Man throws a hidden switch and watches a heavy concrete section of the garage floor slide closed, entombing the unconscious Superman with the bodies of Sidney and Gito. Then, stepping into Sidney's black sedan, he drives swiftly to Highway 33, leading to Metropolis. It's almost an hour since Henry Miller, the Atom Man, left Sidney's garage in the dead spy's car and headed for Metropolis, 55 miles away. Now, weak from the effects of Miller's atomic power and from hunger and thirst, Clark Kent, who is Superman, finally manages to struggle to one knee, and then, with great effort, to his feet. Staggering, bracing himself against the wall, he makes his way one step at a time to the small switch controlling the sliding section of the concrete garage floor above his head.
Must get the phone. Call Inspector Henderson. Stop Miller. Too weak yet. This switch. I got to throw it. There. Something's wrong. Ceiling doesn't open. Try again. It still won't open. Oh, I see. Miller pulled wires out in garage. I have to get up steps. Break through the floor if I can. Oh, I'm so weak. But I have to. There. Now, break through. Oh. Try again. Once more. Didn't even crack it. Oh, I can't do it. No strength. But have to warn Henderson. Tell him Miller's heir died. Wearing army officer's cap and coat. Must break through.
His haggard face drawn and pale, Superman crouches under the foot-thick concrete floor, pushing his weakened hands and shoulders at it again and again. In vain. Meanwhile, having arrived in darkened Metropolis, Henry Miller is in the phone booth of an all-night drugstore, his stolen officer's cap pulled low over his eyes, his overcoat collar muffling his chin. He has just dialed a number. Now he waits, the ringing of a distant phone in his ears.
Hello? Hello?
Is this the mayor?
Yes, who are you?
This is the Atom Man.
Who?
I said I'm the Atom Man.
The what?
Never mind. I called to warn you that in 2 minutes I'm going to blow up the Metropolis Stadium.
What? Are you out of
You
your...
heard me. In 2 minutes I'll destroy the Metropolis Stadium. I'll call you up later to tell you what's next.
Now look here, young man, if this is your idea of a joke...
If you think it's a joke, keep your ears open, Mr. Mayor.
Wait. So, who? What?
Goodbye.
Quickly hanging up the phone, the Atom Man leaves the drugstore and, entering Sydney's black sedan again, drives a few blocks and stops in a dark street. Looming ahead of him is the gray, unlighted bulk of the great Metropolis Stadium. The Atom Man steps from the car, his strange meshed gloves on his hands. A smile curls his thin lips as he reaches inside his turned-up collar for the switch of the electronic converter fastened to his throat. Miller, however, who plans to conquer the world for beaten Germany, became alarmed by a report that American scientists were creating a defense against atomic energy. After eliminating Sidney, his henchman, he departed to attack Metropolis, leaving Kent too weak to escape from his concrete prison. Late that night, a terrific explosion shook the terrified city, and news spread swiftly that the huge stadium, the largest in the world, had been mysteriously destroyed. As all available fire and police equipment was rushed to the scene of the disaster, now only a vast smoking crater, Elbridge Thomas, the mayor of Metropolis, has just returned to his home with Police Inspector Henderson. The two are in the mayor's study. Listen.
There isn't a particle of the stadium left, Inspector. Not a square inch. How did this Atom Man do it?
Well, we're not sure that he did do it, Mr. Mayor.
Well, of course he did. Didn't he call me just before midnight and tell me he was going to destroy the stadium in 2 minutes? It wasn't more than 2 minutes after that the first explosion threw me out of bed.
Yes, I know that.
Now, don't tell me again that the big gas main might have done it. It runs under Front Street, just north of the stadium, and it wasn't touched.
Yes, I know.
And neither your men nor the fire department nor anyone else has been able to find trace of bombs or mines. Besides, no ordinary explosive could have obliterated that huge place so completely. It's as if an earthquake swallowed it, or an atomic bomb.
Oh, now, let's not lose our heads, sir. We know it wasn't an earthquake. And as for atomic bombs, well, that's out of the question. The atom bomb's the most carefully guarded secret in the world.
They might have got a hold of one somehow. Inspector, you've got to find him. He said the stadium was only the beginning, that he was going to destroy the entire city, piece by piece.
Well, how are we going to find him? We don't know who he is or even what he looks like. Our only hope is that he'll telephone you again tonight as he said he would. And if he does, we can trace the call. I've got men at the telephone exchanges and squads waiting at all parts of the city so we can cover any position quickly.
If he was clever enough to do what he did tonight, I'm afraid he's too clever to be caught that way. Look, you said the Daily Planet had mentioned something to you about an Atom Man.
Yes, but there's nothing to it. One of their reporters, Clark Kent, had some wild idea that Teufel, you know, the Nazi scientist who was killed by lightning a couple of weeks ago, was able to create a human Atom Man.
He told you that?
Yes, but Kent is always getting some fantastic idea or other. Incidentally, he's been missing for 4 days now. I wonder whether this has any connection with it.
You may have something there. Just possible that Kent was put out of the way before this happened. I suggest you contact Perry White at once.
Oh, we've been looking for him and for Jim Olsen and Miss Lane for the past 2 hours. But they're out somewhere hunting for Kent. So I left orders to bring one and all of them here just as soon as they're found.
Good. Maybe. Come in.
The governor's on the wire, Mr. Mayor. Wants to know if there's any further information about the explosion tonight.
Tell him not yet, Harris, and apologize for my not being able to talk to him now. I'm expecting a very important call on my private phone.
Yes, sir. What shall I say to the newspaper reporters? There are about 20 of them waiting for you.
Tell them I'll issue a statement as soon as possible when we've completed our investigation. There's nothing else I can say to them now.
Yes, sir.
Papers are driving me crazy, but I don't dare tell them about the Atom Man. Cause a panic in the city. Inspector, we've got to do something. Why doesn't that fellow call up again? At least there might be a chance of tracing him.
Well, if there is, we'll grab at it.
Who is he? How did he destroy the stadium? What's he after?
Heaven only knows. Now, you'd better sit down and take it easy.
Take it easy. With the papers on my neck, the people in a panic, the governor in Washington demanding an explanation, and this Atom Man threatening to destroy the city? I tell you, Inspector, I'm scared. Oh, now what? Come in.
Mr. Perry White, editor of the Daily Planet, is here to see Inspector Henderson.
Oh, good. Send him right in, please.
Yes, sir. Right in here, Mr. White.
Come on, Olson. Oh, good evening, Mr. Mayor. Or I guess it's good morning.
Hello, Perry.
Hello, Mr. White. Jim?
Hi,
I
Inspector.
understand you wanted to see us, Inspector.
Yes, I did.
By the way, Mr. Mayor, this is Jim Olson, one of my reporters.
Oh, pleased to meet you, Mr. Mayor.
How are you? Look, Perry, what do you know about the Atom Man?
The Atom Man?
Oh, you mean Henry Miller?
Henry Miller?
Who is he?
He's the Atom Man.
What?
Now, wait a minute. Now, look here, Olson.
But he is. Mr. Kent said so.
Kent said that?
Yes, and what's more...
Good heavens, I didn't hear anything about that, Inspector.
No, don't pay any attention to him, Mr. Mayor. You be quiet, Olson.
But they asked me...
Never mind what they asked you.
Just a minute, Perry. This Miller, who is he?
No, he's a young Nazi, apparently, who was working with Teufel. He talked himself into a job as a reporter on my paper.
And he disappeared, just the way Mr. Kent did.
Inspector, are you looking for him?
Of course, but we haven't had any luck.
Good heavens. If Kent and Olson are right, and this fellow does have the secret of atomic power...
Ridiculous.
That would explain what happened at the stadium tonight.
What do you mean?
Olson, I told you to... Hold on. What'd you say about the stadium, Mr. Mayor?
Well, I received a phone call that... No, I can't tell you about
Now, wait a minute. I think you should. Mr. White and Jim know Miller. And if he is the one who calls himself the Atom Man, and if he phones again, they'll be able to identify his voice.
I don't get it.
You're right, Inspector. Perry, I want your word of honor that what I tell you now won't be repeated or printed until I give my permission. That goes for you too, young man.
Huh? Well, sure, but
What is it?
Well, just before midnight, I received a phone call on my private wire from a man who said he was the Atom Man.
Gleeps.
He warned me that in 2 minutes he was going to destroy the Metropolis Stadium. And not more than 2 minutes after he hung up, that stadium was destroyed.
Leaping lizard.
That isn't all. He said he'd call me again tonight and tell me what he was going to destroy next.
Boy, that's incredible.
I'll bet it was Miller. He's a dirty Nazi and an Atom Man. That would explain how every inch of that big stadium could have been wiped out. Besides...
That might be him now.
Wait a minute. Don't answer yet. Mr. White, Jim, come over here closer to the phone. Hold that receiver away from your ear, Mr. Mayor, so we can hear his voice.
All right. If it is Miller, your men will be trying to trace the call, won't they?
Yes, there's a man in the basement now tapped in on your private wire. He's already flashed a word to every exchange in the city that there's a call coming in. Now just try to keep him talking as long as possible. Stall him all that you can. Okay, answer it.
Well, here goes. Hello?
Is this Mayor Thomas?
Yes, who's calling?
This is the Atom Man.
It's him.
Quiet, will you? Go ahead, keep him talking.
Who did you say?
You heard me. I said I'm the Atom Man. I kept my promise about the stadium, didn't I? Now listen to me while I tell you what's going to happen next. Before the new day dawns, you will be responsible for a terrible catastrophe.
Tensely, Perry White, Inspector Henderson, and Jimmy Olsen lean over the mayor's shoulder to hear what Henry Miller, the Atom Man, is about to say. In the study of Mayor Thomas's home, Editor Perry White, Police Inspector Henderson, and Jimmy Olsen lean tensely over the mayor's shoulder to hear the voice of Henry Miller, the Atom Man, at the other end of the wire.
Now get this, Mr. Mayor. Something much worse than what happened to the stadium is going to take place. Unless you do as I say.
Oh, it's Miller, all right.
Will you be quiet, Olsen?
Well, what about the stadium? And, who did you say this was?
Quit stalling. I know you're trying to trace this call,
No,
but it won't do you any good. Now, this is going to be short and sweet. Listen. First, I want you to haul down your dirty American flag from City Hall and raise the German swastika.
What?
Why, that...
Quiet.
Yes. I want to see the swastika over the City Hall when the sun rises. If it's there, I'll call and tell you what to do next. But if it isn't there, everyone in Metropolis will die tomorrow night. If you don't want every man, woman, and child in your city to drown like a rat, you'll do as I say. Goodbye.
No, wait. Hello. Listen. Hello. He hung up.
Godfrey, are you sure that was Miller?
Oh, sure it was.
Yes.
All right, now we know who he is and what he looks like. Now, if the call was traced, well, that must be headquarters. Let me take it, please. Inspector Henderson speaking.
Now, this is Healy, Inspector.
Yes, Healy, did you trace that call?
Yes, sir. It came from a pay booth in Central Station.
Oh, there'll be a mob there even at this time of night. But hold everyone, Healy. Don't let a soul out of that station until I get there. Hurry.
Okay.
Come on, Mr. White. You too, Jim.
Wait, Inspector. What are you going to do?
Now, Miller called from the Central Station. We've got to get him. I'll let you know what happens. Come on, Mr. White. Jim, let's go.
Followed by Perry White and Jimmy Olsen, Inspector Henderson rushes from the mayor's house. None of them aware that the Atom Man has changed his appearance since he left the Daily Planet. Only Clark Kent knows that, but Kent at this moment is 55 miles away, a prisoner with 2 dead men, Sidney and his servant Gito, in the secret concrete cellar under the garage of Sidney's country house. Weakened by Miller's atomic power and starvation, Kent still feebly throws himself against the thick walls in a hopeless attempt to break through.
Oh, I can't go on much longer. I'm too weak. Unless somebody comes soon, I'll be finished. Someone has to help me. Oh. Only I know about Miller. Only I know. Oh. And I'm almost done for. Oh, I've got to get out of here. I've got to.
What will happen? Kent, who is Superman, is nearing death in a concrete tomb. What did Henry Miller mean by his threat to drown everyone in Metropolis? And even if he should be cornered in the central station, how can he be taken when he need only lift his hands to destroy the station and everyone in it?
Can nothing stop this madman?
As we continue now, officers guard every door of the vast railroad terminal as the great crowd of civilians, soldiers, and sailors pass through the main exit in single file, where Henderson, White, and Jimmy stand with an armed police guard. Listen.
All right, now keep your eyes peeled, Jim. You and Mr. White are the only ones who know Miller, so I'm depending on you to spot him.
We'll spot him, all right. Dirty Nazi. Won't we, Mr. White?
Well, if he's here, we will. He might have gotten away before the police arrived. That's possible, don't you think, Inspector?
Yes, it's possible, of course, but I doubt it. He made his call from a phone booth on the balcony, and my men were here 2 minutes after he hung up.
Maybe we'd be lucky if he did get away.
Well, what are you talking about, Olson?
Well, he's the Atom Man.
Hey, not so loud, Jim. We don't want that to get around.
Okay. Golly, if we corner him, all he has to do is shoot that green lightning out of his hands. His atomic power, and he'd blow us in this station to smithereens.
Ah, poppycock.
Yeah, never mind about that now. Just keep looking for him. And don't worry about his blowing us up if we corner him, Jim. Just point him out to me. I'll do the rest.
I'm looking. I'm looking at everybody coming through. Jeepers.
What's the matter, Jim?
Look, over there.
That what?
In the Army captain's uniform.
It's Miller?
I think so.
Wait a minute. Healy! Ross! Grab that Army captain.
Oh, Godfrey, I think it is, but... No, it's not.
Well, make up your mind. Is it or isn't it? Jim, is it?
No, I was wrong. Miller has light hair, the color of straw. That fellow's hair is dark.
All right. Never mind, Healy. Let him go.
Gee, for a minute there, I was sure it was Miller.
You know, Inspector...
What?
It just occurred to me, Miller must know that you're looking for him. It's been in all the papers.
Yeah?
Well, maybe he's walking around disguised.
Gosh, I never thought of that.
Well, it could be. But you fellas know him.
Yeah, but if he's disguised, how could we recognize him?
Well, it's a real art to disguise yourself so perfectly that you can fool people who know you. So let's hope Miller's no expert. Now just keep looking. We've got to find him. Don't forget what he threatened to do. We're all in danger.
For another long hour, our friends stand at the exit gate, studying the seemingly endless parade of faces moving by. Finally, the crowd passes through, and the vast railroad terminal is practically empty, save for officials and police officers. Disappointed, Inspector Henderson, Perry White, and Jimmy Olsen enter a police car and are driven swiftly back to Mayor Thomas's house, just as dawn breaks over the city. In his study, his face haggard with worry, the mayor greets them.
Well, Inspector, did you get him?
No, sir. No, he got away.
Oh, I was afraid he would. Now what'll we do? He told me if the swastika is flying over City Hall when the sun rises, he'll destroy Metropolis.
Yeah, I know.
Well, jeepers, the sun will be up in a few minutes.
Now, look, Mayor, it's one thing to say that you're going to destroy Metropolis and another thing to be able to do it.
It's no use trying to ignore the facts, Perry. We face a terrible situation.
Now, don't tell me that you believe that nonsense about Miller being an Atom Man.
Well, frankly, I don't know what to believe. Nelson of the fire department and 2 FBI investigators were just here.
Oh? Now, what did they say?
They just come from the scene of the explosion. Worked there all night. They weren't able to find any evidence of bombs or mines or any usual forms of explosives had been used.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, Miller did it with his atomic power.
Olsen.
But, Chief, if he didn't use bombs or mines, how else could he?
That's for someone with more sense than you to figure out. And unless you can keep your oversized mouth shut, you're going out of here on your ear.
Now, please, gentlemen, this is no time for quarreling. The Atom Man is still at large. He said he'd call me again if the swastika wasn't flying over the City Hall by sunrise. And since it won't be...
You bet it won't.
Well, we've got to prepare ourselves.
Prepare ourselves for what? Personally, I think he's bluffing.
Well, he wasn't bluffing about destroying the stadium, Mr. White.
There's a difference between a stadium and a city, Inspector. I'll grant that he may have some new explosive, but you can't make me believe that a human being can generate atomic power with his own body.
That may be Miller now.
Are your men ready to trace the call, Inspector?
Yes, of course. Now, if it is the Atom Man, keep him talking just as long as you can.
Yes, I know. I'll hold the receiver away so you can all hear. Hello?
This is the Atom Man.
What? Who did you say?
Quit stalling. You traced my last call and couldn't find me. Take my advice and don't try it again.
What do you mean?
You know what I mean. Tell young Olson he's lucky he changed his mind about the army captain. If he hadn't, I would have blown everyone in that station to kingdom come.
Leaps, it was him in the station.
Did you hear me, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, but, I don't understand.
You understand, all right. Don't waste time rounding up all the army captains in town. I'm not in disguise anymore.
Now, look here.
I'm giving the orders now, Mr. Mayor. You disobeyed my first one about raising the German swastika over City Hall. So tonight, every man, woman, and child in your city will drown like a rat.
Gosh.
Why, that dirty... Tell him he's bluffing. You're bluffing.
Oh, am I? You'll find out tonight. You haven't a chance. Nobody can save you. Not even Superman.
Gosh.
Keep him talking. Well, what did you say about Superman?
I said he can't save you. Because he's dying.
Superman dying?
I don't believe... Do you expect me to believe that?
Take my word for it. Or better yet, ask Clark Kent.
Mr. Kent?
Or ask Sidney. He got in my way, too.
Sidney?
Sure. Ask Kent and Sidney. They can tell you anything you want to know about me. Well, that'll be all, Your Honor. So long. And don't forget your water wings tonight.
Wait, listen. Hello. He hung up.
Gosh, what did he mean about Superman dying?
He's crazy. He's out of his mind.
Well, wait a minute, I'll take it. It's headquarters on Miller's call. Henderson speaking.
Healy, Inspector, on that call.
Yes, Healy. Did you trace it?
Yes, sir.
Good. Where'd it come from?
A pay station at Oak and 39th. We radioed the patrol car nearest there and sent it right out.
Good. I'll hop right over. Call the car again, Healy, and tell him not to take any chances. Shoot to kill on sight. The man is a maniac.
Yes, sir.
Well, they've traced the call. I'm going out there right now. I'll call you back, Mr. Mayor.
Right. Good luck.
Oh, wait, Inspector. Miller said something about Mr. Kent.
Now, there's no time for Kent now, Jim. Later on.
But Kent may be able to help us. He knew about Miller, and he was investigating Sidney, the fellow Miller mentioned.
Now, look, Mr. White. I hate to say this, but the chances are, from what Miller just said, that Kent and Sidney got in his way. They probably found out something about him, and, well, he finished them off.
What? Finished Kent?
Oh, no.
I'm afraid so. Well, I'll see you all later.
Later, my eye. Come on, Jim.
Huh? Where?
We're to look for Kent, of course. We're going to that fellow Sidney's house. I'll get to the bottom of this if it kills me.
Picking up Clark Kent's friend, Private Detective Candy Myers, Perry White and Jimmy Olsen drove to Sidney's house in the country, where in a secret thick-walled cellar beneath the garage, Clark Kent is near death from the effects of Miller's atomic power and starvation. As we continue now, early in the morning, our three friends have vainly searched the dead Sidney's empty house. Candy Myers has stopped to telephone Metropolis, as White and Jimmy, deeply discouraged, walk across the lawn to their car.
Well, that's that, Jim.
Yeah, I guess so. I was sure we were going to find Mr. Kent.
Well, I hate to admit it, but Inspector Henderson was probably right. Kent and Sidney were probably both finished by Miller.
Gosh, I don't want to believe it, but... Wait. What's that?
What?
I hear a kind of thumping noise.
Yes. Yeah, it seems to be coming from the garage.
But the garage is empty. We checked it.
It's not empty now. Come on, let's take a look.
Okay. Where's that thumping coming from?
Seems to be coming from below us.
Oh, how could it? The garage is set away from the house. There's no cellar or anything under it.
No. Strange, Jim. Very strange. I wonder what's causing that noise.
Puzzled, Perry White and Jimmy Olsen stand in the garage, unaware that Clark Kent, who is Superman, is immediately below them, hurling himself weakly against the thick concrete walls and calling to them through dry, thirst-parched lips.
Oh, Jim, Chief, I'm right here, under the garage. There's a secret panel in the floor. Don't go away. No, you've got to help me. You've got to. Jim, Chief, I'm right here. Help me. Help me.
Desperately, Kent calls again and again to his puzzled friends, but his once powerful voice is weak and unheard. What will happen? Will they discover the secret basement in time to rescue Kent? In time to stop the Atom Man who has doomed all of Metropolis?
A last desperate effort to locate Clark Kent. Editor Perry White, Jimmy Olsen, and Private Detective Candy Myers hurried to Sidney's country house, only to find it empty. But as White and Jimmy were leaving the house, they heard faint thumping sounds coming from the garage. As we continue now, they are in the garage, unaware that Kent is imprisoned beneath their very feet, trying desperately to attract their attention by pounding his weakened body against a concrete trapdoor.
Listen.
Well, where's that noise coming from, Mr. White?
Seems to be coming from under the floor.
Yeah, it does. You think maybe there's a basement or something under the garage?
I doubt it. Why would anyone build a basement under a garage? Anyway, there are no steps.
The noise stopped.
Uh-huh. I wonder if... Oh, of course. Are we dumb?
Oh, what do you mean?
It's the heating system.
The heating system?
Sure, the steam heat coming up in the pipes. Pounds like that when it builds up. You see? These pipes along the wall heat the garage. They come from under the floor. What's leading the house? Yeah. Getting hot now.
Yeah, but the house is empty. Nobody's here. Who's making steam?
You ever hear of a thermostat?
Oh, you mean that gadget you've got in your house?
That's right. You set it at night to start the heat at a certain time in the morning. It works automatically. Well, there's no more to be done here. Come on. We'll get Myers to go back to town.
Yeah, we might as well. When I first heard that noise, I thought sure it was someone trying to signal us. Maybe even Mr. Kent.
Yeah, no such luck. I'm afraid Inspector Henderson was right, Jim.
You mean about Mr. Kent meeting up with Miller, the Atom Man?
Yes. Kent probably found out too much about Miller, and well, you know the rest.
Oh, golly, I hope not.
Well, here's the car. Now, where's Myers?
I guess he's still in the house.
Oh, what for? We went through it from attic to basement and couldn't find anything.
Well, he said he wanted to call his office. He sent a man over to check on Sidney's apartment before we left.
I'm afraid that'll be a wild goose chase, too. Now, come on. We'll get Myers and start for home. I'd like to know if Inspector Henderson had any luck tracing Miller.
Well, if he didn't, it's going to be just too bad for us tonight. Miller said...
I know what he said. Oh, open the door. It's unlocked.
Okay.
Oh, Myers! Myers, where are you? Oh, now what happened to him? Close the door, Olson.
Hey, Candy!
Okay, Jim, I'm coming.
Well, what are you wasting time here for? Come on, let's get back to Metropolis.
Might as well. We sure drew a blank here.
Oh, did your man find anything at Sidney's apartment, Candy?
No soap there either. The apartment's empty and the doorman and the elevator boys say they haven't seen our fat friend for a week.
Well, come on. I want to find out if Inspector Henderson had any luck.
He didn't. I checked. Miller called up from a cheap hotel on Grand Street, but he was gone by the time the tops got there.
Oh.
Cheapers. Then he's still loose, and tonight...
Will you stop talking about tonight?
But he said...
He said. If you don't stop repeating that, I don't know what I'll do. Now, come on, both of you.
Yeah, let's go, Jim. This clue is a false alarm. I'm afraid it's all up with poor Kent.
Yeah, with us too, tonight.
Olson, for the last time, will you...
What's that?
Sounds like a buzzer.
It is a buzzer.
Maybe somebody's at the door. Wait a minute. No, nobody out here.
Oh, maybe it's the back door.
Could be. Come on, we'll go see. Okay, we're coming.
I didn't hear anyone drive up.
No, neither did I.
Some guy's in an awful hurry. Here, through the kitchen. How do you like that? Nobody out here either.
Well, that's funny.
Maybe it's the phone. Some people muffle the bell.
This one isn't muffled. I had my office call me back before after they checked with headquarters. And the phone rang.
Well, then what is it?
I don't know. But I'm going to find out. Something screwy here. Wait a minute. Seems to be coming from the pantry.
Yeah, it does.
Fine detective you are, Myers. I can tell you what it is.
Yeah, what?
There's a buzzer under the rug in the dining room to call the servant in the kitchen. One of us must have stepped on it and it got caught.
Oh, sure, that's it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it's behind this stack of dishes. Look at this.
What?
Where? Jeepers, it's a funny kind of telephone.
That's a house phone. I've got one in my place. Wait. There's nobody in the house but us. And it's buzzing.
Now you're catching on, Mr. White.
Well, then how? Oh, gee whiz, answer it, Candy.
That's just what I'm going to do, chum. Something's wacky here. Hello. Nobody answers. Hello?
Candy. Help.
Huh?
Candy. This is Kent.
Kent. Jumping, Jemima.
Mr. Kent.
Kent, where is he? What the...
Wait, you guys, I can't hear.
Help.
Kent.
Hurry. Candy.
Where are you, Kent? Where are you?
In garage.
What garage?
Cleeps.
Quiet, Jim. Go on, Kent. Tell me, what garage?
Right here. Sydney garage.
You're in Sidney's garage.
Well, he can't be.
It's empty. We can see it from here.
Yes.
Now, look, Kent. Try hard to tell me...
Here. Hurry.
Kent.
What's the matter?
Sounded like he passed out. Come on.
Where?
To the garage. He said that's where he is.
But we were just
You
there.
can see it's empty.
Stay here if you want to. I'm going to have a look.
Oh, come on. Let's go with him, Jim.
Gosh, Mr. White, I can't figure this out.
No, neither can I, but at least we know Kent is alive.
Yeah.
Well, where is he?
I don't know. What's the phone?
Oh, he must have meant some other garage, Candy.
He said Sidney's garage.
But you can see he's not here, and there's no phone.
I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Perplexed, Candy Myers, Perry White, and Jimmy Olsen look helplessly at one another. So near and yet so far from Clark Kent. Trapped in the basement under Sidney's garage, Clark Kent managed to reach a house phone and contacted Candy Myers, who rushed to the garage with Perry White and Jimmy Olsen, only to find it empty. Puzzled, Candy is walking around the small garage, examining the walls.
I can't figure this at all. I'm sure Kent said he was in the garage.
Well, let's not waste any more time, Candy. Call the county police. They can trace the wires and find out where that house phone goes to.
Well, that's a swell idea, Mr. White.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing to do. I can't understand how... Uh-oh. What's this?
What is it, Candy?
These wires. See? They were pulled out of the wall. And look, there's a little false panel in the wall and a button operating a switch. These wires were attached to it.
Say, that's right.
So what? The button might operate the lights of the garage door.
No, it doesn't. There's the light button over there. And the door slides open and shut by hand. Wait till I get my knife. I'll have these wires connected again in half a shake.
No, you're just wasting time.
Maybe so, maybe no. You go back to the house and call the cops. I'm going to see what cooks here.
All right. Come on, Olsen.
Oh, you go ahead, Chief. I'll stay here. Gosh, Candy, what do you suppose this means?
We'll find out in a minute, chum. All we have to do is slip these two wires back, like this. Tighten this screw. There we are. Now we'll push the button and see what gives.
The lizards. Look, the floor is opening.
Yeah, that middle section drops down and slides back. Watch it, don't fall in.
Oh, no, Look, Candy, there's a room down there. Mr. Kent is lying on the floor.
Yeah, and so are two other guys. Jumping, Jemima. It's Sidney and his servant. Come on, Jim. Down these stairs.
All right. Golly, what happened?
Howdy. Sidney and the Jap look like they're done for. Here, let's see about Kent.
How is he?
Oh, not so good. Kent!
Mr. Kent, speak to us. Mr. Kent! He doesn't answer. And look how white he is. Candy, he's dead.
Shocked, Jimmy Olsen and Candy Myers stare down at the pale, motionless figure of Clark Kent. As the terrible plan first conceived by Der Teufel and carried out by the Atom Man and Sidney finally succeeded in eliminating Kent, who, as we all know, is Superman. If it has, who now can challenge Henry Miller's mad scheme to destroy Metropolis and enslave the world? Fellows and girls, don't miss tomorrow's surprising and exciting episode. Tune in, same time, same station, for the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC Publications.